If you want to grow your business, you need to educate and engage your customers at every point of the funnel. So Thinkific Plus can help you do just that with their powerful learning platform that's so easy to use. Thinkific Plus believes that customer education can combat the common challenges of recurring revenue, like churn. So, Thinkific Plus has created a purpose-built platform for agile teams that allows you to create impactful educational experiences for your customers. That means you can find new ways to engage with them, you can drive adoption, renewals, expansion, and growth, everything that a business cares about. So, reimagine education for your customers' success with Thinkific Plus. You can get 1 month of Thinkific Plus for free with our special code. Go to thinkific.com/CELABS. That's thinkific.com/CELabs.
Welcome to CELab, the customer education laboratory, where you know what we do. Do I have to say this? Yeah, we explore how to build customer education programs, experiment with new approaches, and exterminate the myths and bad advice that stop growth dead in its tracks. And today, we have a special guest. It's the second in our Thinkific series. I want to welcome to the show, Aaron Morin. Aaron, can you please give a welcome to the audience and just a quick intro to yourself?
Hey everyone. Yeah, I'm super happy to be here. As Dave said, my name is Aaron Morin, and I've been working at Thinkific for close to 7 years now. So I got started in 2016, employee 23, which is, yeah, it's been a ride. And my official title is I'm the Senior Manager of Education and Community at Thinkific. But really, all that means to the customers is that I'm the guy in the videos telling them what to do, making sure that they can be as successful as possible. And I'm the guy that sits around in the community and gives my advice and moderates and sets up some fun stuff for people to do. So that's what I've been doing recently. But I've worked at Thinkific across the entire customer lifecycle. I've done projects in referral and retention and activation and acquisition. And right now I've been working. It's been a journey for sure. And right now
we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, I've been working more along the lines of content marketing. So that's been a lot of fun too.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to stop you there. I got to put you on pause because let's use that to frame up our discussion. And this is really exciting. What we at CELab really like to do is talk to folks like you who've had this progression and journey in a career in the space, because the things you're talking about, hey, you're now getting into marketing and stuff. You're in community. You're clearly in customer ed. You've been at the company for 7 years. This journey into this customer education world is what's most important. So we're going to tell that story. Let me do what we always do, our tradition, which is International Day of. And I never thought about this, but we don't necessarily release these on the day that we record them. So this is your way to go hunting to find out what actual day we did record. And that actual day is drumroll, National Pizza Party Day. Any glib comments? It's Friday.
Yeah, I feel like pizza parties have gotten a lot of bad news in the last couple of years here. I feel like it's kind of like the inside joke where it's like, all right, everybody, we're tightening up all the budgets. You did a great job this quarter. Here's that pizza party you've all been waiting for. No bonuses, no raises.
No bonuses, but you got pizza. We know. I'll take the other days today. Today is National Devil's Food Day, Devil's Food Cake Day, National NASCAR Day.
There we go.
National Bike to Work Day. Nope, I don't do that in Seattle anymore. I almost got killed. So,
oh my god, yeah.
All right,
no.
Let's roll with this. And this episode, to frame it up more, I really want this to be more of a story of. Let's tell your tale. Let's go through your journey and talk about all these things that you've been working on over the years. It's an honor to meet somebody in this field, which is like, hey, you've survived. I guess survived, but you've gone through a really interesting journey. I mean, I've seen some stuff in the news over the last year or so. Your company has grown. They IPO'd. Many of the platforms and platform vendors that I know CELab works with, the sponsors and are out there in our space, are not IPO'd, right? Or they're private, or they're on that sort of, they're in this SaaS world
Mhm.
So I want to get a deeper look at that. And then what I'd really like to do is come back to what we talked about this world of customer success, right? And talking about what? Thinkific Plus and how that entree and that positioning into the market is interesting. And you as a listener, you really take note. Okay, is that a lot? That's a lot. We got plenty of stuff to do. So, you ready?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Aaron, now go back to where we were a little bit ago when you started to talk about 7 years, man.
Yeah.
Take us through the timetable. But where were you before that? Well, the thing that I've always find interesting is we all come from different places. I've got a master's degree in computational chemistry, right? I'm a musician on the side. Here I am in customer education because I did a lot of weird things. Everybody knows about that. Tell us your tale and your journey to get here. What are the kinds of things you did before you got to Thinkific?
Yeah, it's an interesting tale. I don't know if it's going to be super relatable for everyone who's kind of like jumped around and built their career up. I know that that's a path for a lot of people, and part of me always looks back and says, should I have like spent the majority of my career at one company? But it's been such a journey, and I've had the opportunity, and I've been very grateful for the opportunity to do so many different things. And like we mentioned before, or like you called me before, I definitely feel a bit like a survivor for sure. Cause we've definitely had our ups. It's been mostly ups. But we've had our downs in the last couple of years for sure. So we'll get into that. But when I first got started in tech, I was writing, basically doing SEO writing. I went to school.
Search engine optimization?
Yeah, that's right. So
for marketing? Okay.
Yeah, I worked for a company called, I can't remember the name of them. I think it was called Sites for Contractors. And I would do this like templated writing where it was like, what's the difference between a shingle roof and a metal roof in, Vancouver or in Burnaby or in, whatever. And they would do these like local contractor SEO. So I was basically making money per word at that point.
So this is pre-chat GPT, could have done that.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Oh, okay, I'll just spit that out. Cool. Just check it.
Yeah, this is like
okay.
A couple. This was like side money, man. It was light lift. Yeah, it was. But yeah, so that's kind of how I got into things, and it's an interesting story. So I was finishing up school in Nanaimo on Vancouver Island in British Columbia here.
Ooh.
And so I was going to school. I originally wanted to start journalism, and I had a journalism teacher. I went to Journalism 101. I sat down and I was like, this is the start of the rest of my life, And the journalism instructor was like, okay, everybody, this is journalism. And he painted this horrific picture of being a journalist. And I was like, this is not it. I'm not going to be on the news. I'm not going to be doing documentaries across the world, that kind of stuff. That's not me, I'm going to probably end up like this guy. I'm going to be doing news in a small town somewhere and just running over when there's a fire at the supermarket or something and taking pictures. That's not me. So I quickly pivoted over to media studies and digital media studies in particular. So it was very like broad education in tech, but I learned HTML, CSS, I learned how to write stuff. I learned how to record stuff, do my own video editing, audio editing, all the skills you kind of need to kind of get into the space. And I was living in Qualicum Beach at the time, which is basically like a retirement community. And I got straight A's.
Stories coming out of this. That's just great. Yeah, nothing's going on.
Nothing's going on. I got straight A's. There was no partying, nothing. So it was great for my academic health. But basically, what ended up happening in Vancouver was like a bunch of these people, who owned companies, small companies, they either got purchased or they made enough money and then they shut it down and moved on. And so there was a bunch of these early retirees, these like CEOs on the island in the Neuse Bay area or Qualicum or Parksville. And they were all really bored. So they ended up making new companies and they all got together. This guy had a genius idea to have like the town of Qualicum basically pay for a co-working space. So he got everybody together in this space. And I just went there to do my homework and like learn from these guys. So I eventually started doing work for them. And that led me into my first job, my first real job in tech, which was I basically did everything for this guy. His name's James Dean, no joke. And he ran a company called Browse Lab, and we built like knowledge base software.
Right.
And I basically did every single thing for that company outside of building the product and all the operations, business, finance stuff. So I was doing the marketing, the sales, I was doing the support, and I was doing like anything essentially at that point. So I got a lot of skills out of that, and it was a lot of fun. So I did that all through school and a little bit afterwards. And then I moved back to Vancouver and I got started at Thinkific. And that's been the journey so far. I mean, we can dive into Thinkific, but
yeah. Okay. Well, that is really interesting to me because, well, I do think it's common these days that we move around a lot. I know people that don't, but this is the thing that I think is resonant with our field of people that are in customer ed and in tech in general, is that a lot of us are hungry to learn. Yeah. And you told me, like right there, I mean, CSS, HTML, I picked up those skills. I did a lot of content development. One of the things I thought, to pull the thread through from journalism, is I always call myself an investigative journalist because in a former relationship, my partner was a journalist. She went to school for it too. And she immediately quit because she thought that would have been the same experience for her. Like, no, this is not me. I cannot do this rest of my life. But I think those skill sets, Aaron, like, again, this is the early days of Aaron, but even in my career and many of the people that I talk to, we all have this kind of, wow, I learned these skills and I learned these skills. And all of a sudden, here's customer education that drops in your lap. You are ready, right? And those people that find their way into that have to pick up those skills too. I mean, this isn't a problem. But now, let's talk Thinkific. And last episode with you, with your team, we were talking about, okay, we've got new products and stuff like that. But one of the things I hear about Thinkific all the time, Aaron, I mean, it's out there. Like, I see ads, stuff happens. I've known people that work there, know you. We're on the same network. But I think what's always helpful for us in this field of customer ed, this is your opportunity to tell the story. Because the story of your company is the culture of your company. And in education, that matters. Because now our audience knows who Aaron is. We know what your other team players is, and we know what your product is. Tell us how you got to today. What are these cool milestones? And you found yourself in this co-working space, and all of a sudden Thinkific's there, and you've got this opportunity. What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, the story of Thinkific is quite interesting. And I'm, since we got started in Plus and we started to serve the mid-market kind of community and the enterprise community, it's been taking off really well. I think we have had like an incredible team behind that marketing messaging. So I'm glad to hear that you hear about Thinkific wherever you go, because they're working really hard and they're incredibly talented people on our team. So that's always good to hear. But, Thinkific really started as a solopreneur, small team entrepreneur. We used to call them infopreneurs, those kinds of people, coaches, speakers, authors, those kinds of people. And then over time, it's kind of every one of those kinds of people has kind of shifted demographically, age-wise, into this like creator kind of overall concept called the creator educator, if we want to be specific. So our roots are really deep into that space. And those people are busy and they have no time for nonsense. And they want to look as good as the company with 500 employees. They want to look better, right? So there's a ton of needs from these people. And so when Greg got started, he essentially had people coming. I'm sure you've heard the story already on the other episode, but if the listeners haven't listened to that one yet, in a nutshell, what happened was Greg and his brother basically created a website called Alpha Score. Greg's a lawyer. He was teaching LSATs prep. And people came to them. His brother built a site. He did the teaching and the business and stuff. He's also very much into the product as well, but his brother was the coder. And so they built that system for themselves. And other people came and were just like, hey, I teach too. I want to do this. And there's nothing much out here that I like. Can you build me a site? So they started building sites for people. And then obviously it's like, I can't build a site every weekend, or every week. let's build a self-serve kind of experience, right? And they went freemium with it.
Scaling.
Exactly,
Mhm.
scaling, right? So over the, I guess like 13 years now, I think 13 years for Thinkific. That is where things got started, but we really fit in with that kind of culture, that like hustler, entrepreneur culture, small teams, personality, brand driven. And so we had to build tools that got everything done easily. It looked really good, and it was super easy to manage over time, and it just worked. There was no issues. There's no bugs. There's no migration problems if you're coming over from another platform. And then it kind of just snowballed from there. We just kept building on that audience. And then the pivot to, well, not a pivot, but
Wait. Can I pause you?
Yes.
I'm really following the story. What I'm trying to do is like, let's talk about this thing and let's go to the next one. So I want to respond a little bit. So this is what I've heard about those who've used the platform. And like, I know enough people and I've poked around it myself, but it's easy. It just works. It's that Apple thing, right? And I think that's one of the challenges that we often have in customer ed, because there's almost this foment internally, like we gotta have something, and then sometimes you overbuy, you don't have what you need in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, as a consultant who talks to people to build customer education programs, one of the things that I say is, look, you're changing over time. You may have 5 different learning platforms and different tool sets and all this stuff over time. But starting somewhere, you need to start where you have low friction and ease of, I can put content up and I don't have a lot of hurdles.
Mm-hmm.
Because and when you're talking about the hustle culture, I think of several friends of mine out there. I used to work at Outreach, and I would see these folks break off, and now they're the hustle culture folks. And what they do, they built a community, they built a learning platform, they use a product like yours, they would grow it up until now they're the business, and now they're going to go down the road. So that's still part of your business fabric. Like, is that, as it was then, is still today? Well, with the
Yeah, for sure. I mean, great question. The most interesting thing that's happened over the years is that thing with the demographic shift that I've mentioned, but it is very much embedded in this company to serve that group of people. So we definitely create for those people. We definitely have a huge level of support for those people as well. So it's definitely embedded in our marketing strategy. When it comes to the culture at Thinkific, working at Thinkific, early days, 2016 to 2018, that culture definitely came in. We hired a lot of people out of that space, people who have gone on to create their own courses and their own kind of education business empires as well. So we really resonated with that group of people as well. So it's kind of strange. Like the time that we went to Plus, the time that we started building for Plus was also the time that we became kind of like a customer for ourselves at that time too. So we matured at that same time that we started going and talking to businesses that were like us and had these similar problems. But yeah, it's always been easy, seamless, customizable, and it just works, and that's when you said overbuying, I totally get it. We overbought on a community platform a long time ago, and it was a nightmare. We didn't need it at all whatsoever. In the end, it was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
And I agree. You got to start small, iterate over time for sure. Don't go big right at the start.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why I really wanted to talk to you too, because because me I kind of look at myself as an analyst sometimes too, and I'm talking with a lot of different folks in the space. But it's interesting, I was at an event this week with a lot of companies like yours, right? And they're all kind of in, like, some are high end, some are mid market, some are here, but they all don't have necessarily the sense of, we're really not competing with each other. There's over 1,000 LMSs in the world. And that's because they're purpose built for different things.
Yeah.
So when I would consult with somebody, let's say, Aaron, you come to me and you go, hey, I need to build content. I need to put a university course up. I want to build my academy. Where do I start? And I'm like, okay, what do you have now? I've got squat, nothing. Okay, well, let's build some content first.
Yeah.
And then pilot out some stuff and just put it on your website or, whatever, any product if you want. next step is I look to folks like, okay, if you're really lean and you're starting to do, and you just want to like get it up quick, that's where I might direct someone towards you, because then you've got a place where it looks pro. But I don't like the premise. One of the premises of customer education is agile. It's number 4 on the customer education manifesto. Fast loops, quick to market. But until the emergence of platforms like yours and some other tools that I've seen out there, you really didn't get you got garbage, right? I get something out there, be okay. But now you're able to position somebody and say, hey, you content influencer, like all the titles you use, go here, use this, get started. Then what? So the then what is Thinkific Plus.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah. And all of the tools that those solopreneurs are using to put their content out there and sell it and give it away, those are all the tools that you'll be using. And Thinkific Plus is just that kind of like layer on top of the things that larger companies typically need when it comes to like API, SSO, all of those kinds of things, like a CSM to trust at our company. And then we've been slowly building out other features over time that Plus company or Plus customers have requested. So we're definitely still aligned with the revenue generation model, but it works really well for customer education too. So we made a decision very early on to support those 2 use cases with Thinkific Plus, and especially for people who maybe smaller teams or teams that are just getting started with a customer education program. They have some content, like you said, and they want to start moving into more formal education. That's when Plus shines. It also really, like, we've had a lot of people come over from our, what we call like the self-serve line. And we call it self-serve because it's more, it's self-serve. I make on-demand content for them, webinars, courses, those kinds of things. We've had a lot of people find their success in the self-serve space. And then they get into a conversation with us and we start working with them on the Plus side, because their revenue is like 10x or 100x over their period of time. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well then, okay, let's talk more about that. So this week I was at Gainsight's Pulse conference in San Francisco. And I'm bringing this up intentionally because now we're looking at that mid-market. You're starting to speak you have been speaking the language of customer success. So the soft pitch I guess I'd make to you right now is, how do you think about customer success? Like I want to twist a little bit different, because last episode we talked more about, well, this is what we're doing. How are you going after the market? And like, what does the market need to know about you in this product base? Like, what was the main problem to solve for that next step is, hey, well, I need more structure. I think I heard you say, which is what I would think, reporting and SSO and that other stuff. So what are these asks that these companies, can you go deeper into that?
Yeah, for sure. So it's fun. Like we've had a lot of customer education companies come to us, and they are they're very customer success focused. Their KPIs are all around customer success. But then we talk to them about like exploring the revenue generation side of things and charging for courses or charging for certifications. And
are they asking you that, or are you helping them explore those conversations?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes companies come to us, sometimes we go to them. It depends on the situation, but typically a customer education company coming onto Plus, they'll have specific needs. They need to get a course out. They need, the baseline reporting. They might need SSO because they want users to log in from within their app or something like that. But then we have a discussion around the potential revenue generation, because Thinkific has a lot of great power there. And companies like Hootsuite use the Thinkific platform to sell as well as give to customers. And those certifications, the paid content becomes like a point in sales conversations. So the salesperson can include a number of certifications in the deal itself. So customer education then starts to generate some revenue.
Then I could have my sales agent go, okay, I'm going to create you a certain number of tokens or something like that. And then
that's right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. So now, all right, I want to spend some time on this discussion. Again, I like these organic conversations where you're threading the needle.
Yeah. Hopefully we're not jumping around too much. Yeah.
No, actually, I think this is quite on point, because one of the things that I think is really troubling and complicated, let me see if I can grasp where the core of your market might be, and then coming from my angle. That one, the things that I know from my experience, I've worked at a number of, I think a half dozen different startups now over my career, and going way back, I've done all kinds of crazy stuff. But it's taught me one thing, is that we're all scrappy and we're always fighting for dollars and we're always fighting for time. And then things like, well, your CEO will come over and go, hey, Dave, how can we generate more revenue off of this training program you've done? You've done a great job. And imagine me as not a customer education person yet, even. I'm in an organization that might be a bunch of CSMs who have decided to take their own initiative, or maybe we have a CS ops person. Somebody starts to coalesce all the debt. Like, again, I was at Pulse this week, and I'm in the language of a customer success manager. The biggest problem with customer success is, at first, when you're small, you're going to train everybody, or someone in your company is going to do it. But CSMs tend to start being mom and papa bears, and I'm going to take care of you, I'll train you. And then next thing you know, you're investing hundreds of hours training, not necessarily monitoring or helping and doing the job that you're doing as a CSM. It's part of it, but it should be a very small proportion of the amount of time you spend with activities in customer success, which is more, oh, I see a decrease in utilization of this account, I need to go work with them, and then you do adoption. Well, now I might bring education into that play. And that's where I'd want to go say, how do we do that at scale? Meaning, scale to me means, how can I delegate some of this crap off my plate?
Yeah.
Tell me about this. Now that I like, sorry for the almost expletive, but tell me more about that revenue generating thing, because that's really hard. And every company I know, like, I had one of my senior vice presidents tell me one day when he was hiring me for a job, while I was in that, it's like, look, Dave, I don't care about revenue where we're at today. 2 years later, he did. And and now my life is different, and I get stuck. I was saying goodbye to somebody here. I get stuck, right? So let's talk about this. Let's sit in the space a little bit about revenue. What are the things that you're helping those customers and teaching them?
Yeah, it's really like out of the roots of our self-serve business line, for sure. When it comes to the idea of charging for the education, I think a lot of people get turned off because, they're making money for the company through customer success, through retention, through expansion, maybe some paid feature adoption, depending on your product. But it can be really powerful to offer something that your customers have to buy into, or it's a part of their deal in some way, shape, or form, because then it becomes so much more valuable to them. I think that right off the bat, when you give away something for free, or it's, a value add and there's no line item on their bill for it, I think just psychologically, a lot of people just ignore it because it's just, it's free, it's useless, right? Or worthless, I mean to say, in the back of your mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I have so many books on my shelf I haven't read that I've gotten for free, right? I've read the books that I bought for sure, but those free books, no, definitely not, right?
Yeah, unless how I do it now. I found that in this line of business, people are sending me books to read, and it drives me to actually read them because they're free, but I have to do a podcast on them. So you got to make a hook for yourself. Otherwise,
you got to get some value out of it in some way. But yeah, I think first of all, psychologically, it makes a huge difference. So you're going to see a lot more engagement. You're also going to attract. It's a bit of a filter. So if you're using it to attract customers, we've done this for years at Thinkific. We've run education programs as a kind of bonus or as a kind of add-on to a deal that we've been running. And it attracts the right type of people, in my opinion. I got challenged early on because I was saying, look at all these people in my cohort program. They're doing so well. And then, I didn't know anything about data at the time or selection bias or anything like that. And the director of our data team came up to me and was like, well, these are people that would take courses anyway, so they're going to succeed, right? As a kind of challenge, and saying like, well, I don't know if the course is doing anything. It's probably just the fact that we attracted a whole bunch of like keeners, essentially. And I was like, that's awesome,
Keeners, is that what you said?
Yeah, keeners, people who take things very seriously. They sit down, they learn, they try stuff. The people
I
who are
haven't
in
heard
it.
that phrase. That's okay. We've got a new one for me. I like that a lot. Keeners. They're
Yeah.
people that want to learn, and they're kind of
Yeah.
go-getters.
Yeah. So there's definitely some intent bias, but I think it acts on the flip side. It acts as a way to kind of filter out people who are not going to take the product seriously or don't really care about the product. And they're not going to engage with the content that you send them anyways. So once it becomes a paid thing, then, you've paid for it. So you have to do it. Right. And
theoretically, I've got a lot of those too sitting on my shelf.
True.
Books I did not read.
Yeah. And you're going to attract the right types of people when it is a paid product. So obviously, when it is a paid product, you're also going to start making revenue. And I think that recently, we've experienced this at Thinkific too. We've had our ups and downs, and because of the way the world is currently, speaking to a lot of people who are considering Plus, I've been on tons of sales calls with our sales team for Plus. A lot of people are super stoked about creating a customer education program, but the last hoop is to run through somebody on the customer success team or somebody on the C-suite team, and they say, okay, I need like hard ROI on this, essentially, right? Like what's going to happen here?
Okay. Slow down.
Yeah.
Now we're in the money land here.
Yes.
This is, I want to focus this moment for you and our audience too, because again, I was at this event this week, and when I'm listening to keynotes and I'm listening to, it's all about investment. Now, dollars now in this macroeconomic condition that we're in are matter. So it's even harder to get spend, right? To be able to purchase a platform.
Yeah.
And that exec is going to say, all right. Now, why I wanted to pause you is because I know this is a really big challenge for us. I struggle with this. We all struggle with this, because determining ROI, education, is not a causal relationship, it's a correlative relationship.
Yeah.
We have to do a lot more work to, here's my learners, here's my CRM, here's my product data, put it all together, as Adam would say, I would say, munge it, to produce dashboards and to be able to show, hey, I launched a program, people paid for that program, I invested this much in instructional design and content development. Net positive. What would you look at, like your margin?
Yeah.
Want to see a 50% margin, estimated gross margin.
Break even is good too.
Yeah. Well, for education, it's definitely good. But then, if you're going to go for revenue, you should try to, look. I got to fund my team now, because one of the caveats of going revenue based, kind of too. Now I start having a revenue that the company could count on.
Yes.
And now that my goals are moved further, because I have to make margin on that revenue to be able to fund more people to bring in my team, I could become a static team that's self-sustaining but not growing. So look, blow open that space for me, man. I want to hear more.
Yeah.
ROI.
Totally.
There's going to be an ROI. How would you unpack that with the Thinkific platform?
Yeah. So, in my experience at Thinkific, I don't really make promises that this is going to drive revenue in like a huge way. And I'm going to set a revenue target and I'm going to beat it by 3x, 10x, whatever, every quarter or anything like that. You can. And once you start making money off of the programs, that tends to happen. But in my experience, I've been focused on the customer success side of things, which has been harder to show causal relationships for. Like you said, without A/B testing, it can be incredibly difficult to do that. So I like to pitch it as, the reason why I said even break even is because if you can cover your costs, then you're good. There's not like too much pressure on showing those kinds of relationships right away in extremely hard ROI. You can wait, you can give it time. You buy yourself maybe a year to see the effects of this kinds of education that you're putting out there. So for me, I deal a lot with like solopreneurs. I deal a lot with people who are just getting started or on their first venture outside of service. We have a lot of coaches who provide that kind of thing. And it takes them a long time to hit product market fit. So I've learned over the years that I can run a 30-day challenge. Sure. Am I going to get tons of people selling courses out of it? Probably not, because it takes a little bit longer to put things together, for sure. As we all know, if we've ever built an online course, selling it on top of that, it takes forever. So I don't like to create those expectations. Yeah.
I wanted to tap on a point you made. You said you have coaches. So
yeah,
that's a different term than usually I'm used to seeing a coach being a CSM, but
I meant the customer. The customer is a coach.
Oh, they are a coach. Okay.
Yeah. And so they've started to build products, and it's the difference between a service provider and a product, a service provider and a product provider. And making that transition is very difficult for a lot of people. So that's what I was getting at. But we do also do coaching in our programs, if we want to talk about that.
I do want to talk about that, because one of the things that I often find lacking, and I think is unique in your kind of cultural fabric, right? You came out of this hustle. I don't want this to be pejorative, but I love the term hustle culture, because that's defined to me. There are some of us that, even against our own health and best interests, we're attracted by things, shinies, right? But more than that, it's that we want to go learn something deeply, we kind of master it and move to the next thing, because you need to get those skills. So how would your coach, and how would they work with me on the platform? Like, what's a tip for a solopreneur who's coming to the platform? So like, I'm coming to you and I go, I'm struggling a little bit. I need a little help.
Yeah.
What are like some of the example things that one of your Thinkific coaches, right, software coaches, will be able to tell me? Like, let's say I'm a soccer coach and I'm doing a soccer club, right? I'm a soccer coach, and it's cool to be like, okay, I'm going to do a workshop and I'm going to put that online. And because we have a lot of these tools in, youth soccer associations, where, gosh, if you can show these kids a video of how to do the spin kick and go around, those kids are just going to love to do that. It's going to look cool. They're probably not going to fall down. Mom and dad's going to be like, yeah, Dave taught him that. I'm like, okay, I get a nice pizza party at the end of the year. See how I loop that back in?
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I'm just curious. I'm curious about that, because I see like a CSM, a platform might be a coach-ish. Yeah. What do you do?
Yeah, it's a good question. So on our self-serve side, we have group coaching. We always do group coaching. It's at scale. And then on our CSM side, you get a one-on-one approach. It's very high touch.
Okay.
So on the at scale side for our self-serve business line, we get people coming in who just need to ask questions, and they love the group coaching or the community experience, because they get to hear questions that they might not have thought of yet, and learn from each other. And I've run sessions, and just to be clear, like at Thinkific, we have me and we have a few people on the support team that take part in some of this coaching. And then we have our wonderful program manager named Daniel Cooper, who jumps on calls as well. So it's not a huge team of coaches. We've talked about scaling it out, and that might be something that we're going to be approaching in the next year or two here with this program we've just launched. But our group calls have been super awesome, because the customers often take care of each other. And I've run these calls where customers are just helping each other fully when it comes to best practices. And even with just Thinkific, like even with tech support questions, people will be like, oh yeah, I did that the other week. This is what I did. Let me share my screen. I'll show you exactly what I did on my page. And I'm like, okay, I'll sit back. Like, I don't need to work right now.
Beer. Yeah, okay. I had a good afternoon here. This is wonderful.
Yeah, it really is beautiful. And our community is another space where that happens. It's hit a critical mass now. We don't have to do any commenting. I always take a quick look, and I encourage the people that I work with, the moderators on that community, to go through and make sure people do get answers, and that answers from other customers are relatively accurate. But we really have hit a critical mass in that space where customers are just helping each other. And another part of this mix is our service providers are registered Thinkific agency partners. And we have what we call an experts marketplace, where you can go and you can find people that are extremely experienced with Thinkific implementations, or just in general with marketing, copywriting, content creation. And these people can be hired at whatever rate they're charging to help our customers out and it's very self-serve. But we vet them and we make sure that they're legitimate and they have helped customers before. And so
Wow.
the secret sauce in the mix is adding those people in to the community space and to the group coaching experiences to be able to help, because they're incredibly incentivized. They drive a lot of business for themselves by doing that.
Oh, so you don't have to actually, well, this sounds weird, but you don't really actually have to pay them. That's them. It's their brand pulling through to you.
Yeah.
It's kind of leaking their brand back into your product to help you out. And now I don't hear too many folks that talk about this kind of a vibrant of community. Mm-hmm. Though I do have a question about community, because community is hot. I mean, I was in an argument, I guess, yesterday about talking about community being part of customer education.
Yeah.
Adam and I have this whole dialogue about customer education is what we call it, but these things all interleave, and it's like a fabric, right? You might be doing, somebody was saying, oh, we were doing, I don't know what they're talking about. They're talking about webinars and all this stuff, and they're calling this customer success, and like everything on there is customer education, man.
Yeah.
But I want to do that. I want to pivot it back and say, all the interventions that we have as a part of customer success tend to be educational interventions. And that's not always true. So I can't take a, let me ask you, again, community, what kind of platform are you using to deliver your community? Who do you use? Do you use vendor or you use yourself?
Yeah, like I said before, we went with a big vendor. I won't say their name because it didn't really work out.
Okay, don't do that. That's good.
Yeah, we did.
They're probably a great vendor for a different kind of.
Actually, they're incredible. Yeah, just for what we needed at the time, it was overkill. We had a community team at the time, and it didn't quite work out with that team, unfortunately. So we just went back to the roots, and we got started. Like I said, hustle culture. We got started with a Facebook group, and our customer community on our self-serve line is still a Facebook group. So it's been really nice to have that group of people. Now, we don't gate it to customers only. So there are former customers in there, and there are people that are considering Thinkific as well. And that just adds to the mix, the composition of the community. It's relatively, I should say, it is a positive place. It can get a little hairy at times, like any community space. But I absolutely love going in there and learning from people. But we use Facebook groups. Now, that said, we have just launched this year the second iteration of our paid cohort-based course for our self-serve line. We're now calling it the Thinkific Accelerator. And it's an 8-week program that runs you through all of the best practices for getting started with online courses for profit. This group uses our own product, which is called Thinkific Communities, very simple name. And it's essentially a private, branded Facebook group kind of experience. And we launched that, I think, 2 years ago. And the communities team, Sarah Kozlowski is a product manager on that. Incredible team I have worked with. They're one of my favorite teams I've ever worked with on product. They listen to customers. They have customer calls every single day. Actually, that's a little overkill. I feel like they have customer calls every single day. They know these people inside and out. And they've been developing features over the past 2 years to make communities incredibly powerful as a feature. There's live events. There's a search bar. There's trending posts. There's admins now and moderators. Like, it's a fully fledged community product now. And we're adding more to it all the time. So it's really, really exciting to be able to, I guess, like, a lot of people say dog fooding when you use your own product, but I don't like that term.
Champagning.
I like champagning. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been really nice.
So, okay, I think I heard, I was trying to hear the answer to your question.
Sure.
Do you have a brand, a community platform, or did you build your own?
Yeah, so I guess we built our own. It's on our own platform. It's on Thinkific.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Okay, cool. So you have a community component of your own platform that allows for that.
Yes. Yeah.
Phenomenal. Oh man. Okay, this is such a great call. And this, folks. Again, I'm going to start wrapping up, but breaking the fourth wall. These are the kind of things we want to talk about. Go back and listen to the first episode if you want to hear a lot more about the Thinkific Plus product from like a canonical definition. Now we're getting into the community, and we're getting into Aaron's mind, the day-to-day behind the scenes. How did we get here? This is the fun part. This is again, a goal at CELab is to make humanize and spread a different kind of information about why customers love and use your platform, and that's really helpful. So can I pivot you and is there anything else that you want to talk about in this? Because I've got a couple more topics and then I want to run out the door.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to call out that we're going to be at LowCon. I don't know if you're.
I was going to ask this.
Yeah.
Let's take 5 minutes. I'm part of this group that's doing it with Brian Childs and team. Tell me more. Like, I'm super excited because I will be there. I'll be part of the team.
Yeah, for sure. It's really cool. Brian reached out on Slack and he asked if we'd be interested in, contributing in any way, shape, or form. He told me about this crazy plan to like rent out a mansion and have all of these customer education people come together. And I was like, this is so cool. Like I've been waiting for something like this as a customer education professional for so long. July 21st to the 23rd, I believe. And basically,
I'm going to pull up the screen right here. So
yeah, good call.
Let's help our customers. Let's see, share screen. And I know how to do this. I'm really good at Zoom and it'll look a little weird, but yeah. LowCon Vancouver.
Yeah.
I am stoked because it's the first of its kind.
It is. Yes. I mean, I can't think of anything else on this level for sure. I'm really excited about it. So we have sponsored with Brian, and so we're going to be hosting a meetup, a networking event at Thinkific HQ. I believe.
We're going to get to go to your HQ. Oh man,
yeah,
for sure. This is going to be so much fun.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We have a really great space. It's very central in Vancouver as well. It's on Terminal in Maine. And so I'm really excited to meet a lot of people. I had a call recently with somebody from Thought Industries. I've been talking with individuals across the board here coming. So everyone's talking about it. They're all getting excited. And I just love that Brian rented out a mansion. That's the best part. Oh,
have you seen the pictures of it?
Yes. Yeah. It's pretty bougie.
Well, there's, we were going to have, so those of you are going, look, this is going to be a professional event. I've been an event manager for decades. Like, we're going to do it right. We have insurance, all that kind of stuff. But no, I'm really excited about this too. And I wanted to have a chance to talk about this out loud. So this is where we get to present it together. There's a small cadre of people, including Brian and a couple others, and some of them are, we're all over the place. It's really weird, but we're all so stoked because how many have you gone to learning events out there like DevLearn or anything in the past? Conferences.
I've been to Pulse for sure, but no.
Yeah, and that's probably different.
Yeah.
No, that Pulse is actually at Pulse this week, there were so many people talking about education, and education was coming up, and learning and customer ed and scaled digital success, scaled success, all of these things require education is requisite. If you don't build that education into your fabric for customer success, you are screwed. And if you don't do it fast, like if you're growing, you're a series A, B, C, if you don't start building that substrate there, you're going to run into, and this is my new thing I'm pitching, that I think technical debt, that's, oh gosh, but I hypothesize that technical debt is actually knowledge or educational debt. Failure to act with the education, meaning, so like, this is a different way of thinking about it. I look at education as teaching everybody, partners, customers, internal people, about the product and what the product does and how we train them, how we use the product, how we talk about the project, the words, the values, all that stuff is so fundamentally important. If we don't start thinking about that early, we're screwed. And that's why you kind of fit in there at that time. And I'm really thankful to see things like Thinkific Plus. Now, going to LowCon, the thing I was trying to tell you is that I've been to those other events, Pulse, I've been to DevLearn, I've been like ATD, all these different things. They're way more, and I would put CELab out there too, because they're more in the customer education space, and they're pretty good too. But even from CELab, even from DevLearn, all these stuff, we don't get the opportunity to do that other thing we like to do, which is, I want to work together. I want to work on a project with you, Aaron. Like, let's think about something new, and what joy comes from just actually learning directly from other people that are doing the work, and what we create out of that. That's what I'm stoked for.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I mean, the workshops, the unconference for learning professionals. I love that.
Yeah, I do too. All right. Well, with that, again, LoCon is out there July 21st. It's a weekend thing. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have a great time. You're going to be there. I'm going to be there. Sign up.
For sure.
Any other events or any things that you have going on right now? And then I'll bring it home.
I mean, that's all for now. I would say, like, if you wanted to get in touch with us at any time, just go to thinkific.com/plus and you can learn more about that. But I think you also have a fantastic resource for that as well.
Thanks. Yeah, we do. This is going to be great. Okay. Well, I think we're right about time. And this is that time in the show that, once again, Aaron, I thank you very much. We can get in contact with you. Again, you just gave us a link for Thinkific. But on LinkedIn, where are you very active online? Social media, otherwise.
You can find me on LinkedIn for sure. Yeah, I don't do too much Twitter these days, but LinkedIn's where we're at.
With that blue check mark, yeah, I'm a LinkedIn person because this is where I live. I have other places.
Yeah.
And okay, so as we're walking out the door, folks, again, if you want to learn more, you want to talk to Aaron, anything, we have a podcast website, and we've got the best domain ever. All you have to remember is customer.education. That's where CELab's home is. There you can find show notes, other things. Guess what? Thanks to our wonderful production company, Castos, we'll give them a good mention. We are now delivering video too. So that's why we actually didn't wear crummy clothes on a Friday afternoon. Thanks, Aaron, getting the memo. And you can watch us on a video too. So there's where you would see stuff. And if you found value in this podcast, I have to ask and compel you, please tell your friends, tell your peers, tell your network, help us find the others, because that's what we're doing in this market space. Customer education has been emerging out of other fields, and we're finding others every day. Like Aaron, thanks for being my friend and connecting. Now we know each other, and I'd be happy to talk to you anytime. Folks out in the audience, if you want to talk to us, great. And remember, we have now a link at the top of the website. If you want to talk and you have a great idea, or you want to pitch the cool things that you've done with your customer education program, we really, really, really want to talk to you. We want you on the show. All right. So thanks so much, everybody. Thanks to Alan Coda for providing our amazing theme music. And for all of you who subscribe right now, how about a 5-star rating? Apple Music, we got a 100% 5-star going on right now, and it's just blowing my mind. Thanks for joining us. Get out there, educate, experiment, and find your people. Cheers, everybody.